Hi there, John McLaughlin here. Welcome back to another gold session. This is a really interesting session today. I recorded this on a Friday. It's Friday the 10th of June. It's a Friday. There was lots of news. The markets were very unstable and some people don't even trade on a Friday. And I think you're going to really like this from a learning perspective of when to take a trade, when to really understand and trust your strategy. The other thing I want to mention as well is that we've now got 57 days of backtesting where this strategy has not yet produced any losses. So that's really good, but really bad in another way, because I want to keep this completely transparent and tell you if there is any losses, then I will be definitely recording those losses. So because I haven't recorded the previous 57 days, I've started with a playlist from day one. Today is day 3 of this backtesting for the purposes of this going on to YouTube. So you're going to get a lot of value from this, I know, because I really enjoyed doing the session. The session is always recorded live. I always put little timestamps on there, but because the session itself is 2 hours, I try and edit some of the most relevant pieces out. So again, if you like this video, please subscribe to the channel. It really means more than to get that feedback and to allow me to keep putting this content out there. And of course, please comment, like and share as you feel fit. So here's the session coming up. Okay, enjoy. Okay, good afternoon everybody, it's John McLaughlin here. It's the 10th of June, it's 12:50 and we're going to be doing another Crossfire session on gold. Now I've just logged into my trading view. This is the gold spot, gold on a 15-minute time frame, and as you can see we've got a huge push down to the downside, and clearly when you get moves like this then manipulation is happening. And if we just take a measurement from the top of this down to the bottom, and it's moving pretty quick. We're looking at 83 pips move, and we know that for a position to move 1 pip it takes around $10 million. So you can see the kind of quantities of money involved in there, and that is an institutional banker's candle. Okay, so what's causing this? So what I did, just have a quick look backwards. As you can see, we've got a big push to the upside here. Let me just let's go into here. So you can see on the other side, and this goes back to the 1st of June. 1st of June at 1300. So between 1300 and 1500, during the times that we're interested in for this particular strategy, we had a big push to the upside. And what you ended up with, let me just get the rectangle, is between this candle here, the wick of this candle, the green candle at the bottom, and this candle before it, you have imbalance. Okay, imbalance in the market. Let me just see if I can move that across. Extend the lines. Okay, so now what we can do, we can go back and see if this imbalance has been corrected at any point. So it wicked into there. Okay, this was on the 7th of June, it wicked. And there we go, it's hit the imbalance. So what's happened is, if you've got money to pay your newspapers or your milk or any of your household bills, and you're giving out more money than you've got, there's imbalance. Okay, and this is what happens with the banks. And as you can see, look what's happened. We don't know when the imbalance is going to get taken out. This was 10 days. Okay, so we could look at the markets and say, okay, we've got imbalance, let's trade the imbalance, but we don't know when the imbalance is going to get corrected. And it looks like today was the correction for that particular imbalance 10 days later. So we know that the price has gone down there, it's corrected it. What's going to happen to the price now? And we've got 7 minutes left on the before we start putting our Crossfire strategies together with the trend lines and the boxes. So we've got plenty of time to get started, but this is interesting to see what's happening. And also, today's Friday, so the markets, people, Monday it's always slow to get started because we've had the weekend and the markets are warming up, and Friday has the opposite effect where the markets are closing down. A lot of people go home early, and the markets can react in a slightly different way. So it'll be interesting to see what happens today in terms of the Crossfire strategy. But as you can see, this is still moving, pushing down to the downside on the 15-minute time frame. And let me just see if there's anything else. Let me just put this on the, let's put it on the hourly, make it so you can see it, and just see if we've got any other levels of interest. So if we go to the first again, just see what we've got going on. So actually on the hourly time frame, we've got imbalance going down to here, to the top of this wick. So that imbalance is actually, let's just go back. Yeah, so on the hourly time frame, as you can see from here, sorry for my zoom in and messing about, hasn't quite been taken out yet. So it may well go down to this point before making a decision. Maybe it'll reverse. Okay, maybe if we look, we've got lower lows here. Okay, so this isn't imbalance because this is, if you can see here, the market came up, and then it went down, then it came up again. So it's kind of corrected, but from this wick here all the way up, and it goes up quite significantly, this is all imbalance. It's all imbalance. So if we just have a look, we've got 5 minutes left before we're going to go and put our Crossfire strategy together. Let's just have a look around here. Yeah, and again we've got imbalance here. So between this wick, between that wick and this wick here, that's all imbalance. It hasn't been taken out later, so that's still outstanding. So it could well be, sometimes you get this where they go, okay, it's the end of the week, let's put the books right and let's readdress all that imbalance before the weekend. Okay, let's just go back to the start again. And you can see this is the imbalance I spoke about before. This is the imbalance I found slightly more to the left from, I don't know what date it was. Let's see what date this was. So this was the 19th of May. Okay, so one of the things we say that, if we know when imbalance is going to get corrected, then we'd all be trading from our private island with gold-plated laptops. Well, I'd have 2 monitors anyway, gold-plated. I don't work off a laptop, it's too small for these eyes. Oh yeah, apologies again, glasses are still broken, so I'll see if I can get those fixed over the weekend. And yet, as you say, look, this is still pushing down to the downside. It's going to be a huge move if it goes all the way back down to correct this imbalance. I don't think that's going to happen. It'd be too much. I think anyway, you don't see moves quite that huge, but who knows. Certainly, I think it's going to be corrected down to here. This is the imbalance from the 1st of June. So let's just see. Okay, right, while we're looking at that, we'll go and have a look at the news and just see what the news is doing for today. So my FX book. So if you want to get to the news, it's myfxbook.com/forex economic calendar. And you get a little pop-up, just get rid of that. Okay, so where it's all been checked previously, this is news that's already happened. And because we are on the gold, we're looking at US news because gold is always traded against USD. And we've got in 31 minutes, just say, let's check if my just going to check my computer time. No, it's Outlook. It says 11:58. That's not right. Anyway. Right, so we've got high news for the US dollar. We've got more high news for the US dollar. I think this is already happening. Looking at the time here, my FX book is saying I'm 11:50 GMT, but currently I'm on 12:58, so it's an hour behind. So it looks like this news is already happening. High impact news, medium impact news. So there's 4 different sets of news. We've got news further down. This is going to be at 1 o'clock our time, because this is going to be happening. So these markets are really going to be interesting to see based around all this news. So you've got high news, and then you've also got low news, but the quantity of news is quite significant for the US dollar, and even more. Big day for the US today. All right, so let's be very mindful of that if we're going to be trading it. And look, this is still going down to the downside, reacting to that news. So do you trade the news? Some people do, some people don't. Some people don't really care. But you know, when you're learning trading, it's always interesting to check everything and understand that news does have an effect. Because when manipulation happens, as I said before, the bankers and the big financial institutions, they always hide behind news because they're not permitted to overtly manipulate the markets, but clearly they do. Right, it's 1300. I'm going to expand this particular time frame, and then I'm going to put the 2 time frames on side by side, so the 15-minute and the 5-minute side by side. So let's go with our box. So we'll put it up here. So 13 to 1500. Oh, making a mess of this. Then we'll go and put our trend lines on. We'll just lay them on for now. This is going to be our green. And then the red. Oop. So this is the candle that we're going to be interested in. When this is finished painting, then we can find out where we're going to put our trend lines. So clearly the higher high of the higher candle from this candle is this candle here. So we might as well go and put that on now, because unless it's going to pop all the way up in 15 minutes, which it may well do. I mean, it is gold after all. But let's go and put that on now. So click the magnet tool and put this on the top there. So it will click to that. Then we'll just put this, take the magnet off. Just put this horizontal for now. Obviously, if this had finished painting, then we'd put this down here. Okay. If there's a wick, then we go on top of the wick. If there's no wick, then we just go through the middle of the candle, the center of the candle. Okay, but we'll wait until that's finished. And the next thing from there is we're going to be doing a lower low. Now, well, hang on a minute, sorry, no, it should be on a 15-minute time frame. Apologies. Right, so we've got to put, I'm going to take this off for now. So we need to be on the 15-minute time frame to put these trend lines on. So the 2 time frames involved, we put the alert, we put the indicators on the 15-minute time frame, and then we take our alerts from the 5-minute. Okay. So we'll just wait until it's finished paints, so it finishes painting. So looking at our multi-time frame stochastic, we can see that the price has been up here, and it's gone down to the downside. So clearly, as you can see, it's been oversold. That's why these lines, sorry, I'm going the other way. So those lines are currently in the extreme between the 80 and 20 zone. So it's outside the 20 zone. So between here, this green line here, and below is the extreme of the sell, and the 80 line here, the red line, and above is the extreme for the buy. So when it's overbought, you'll find that the stochastic goes into this, it almost went into that extreme zone, and then oversold, it goes into this extreme zone down here. Okay, so that's where it is right now, which tells us potentially, I mean, it is a lagging indicator, so it's not a crystal ball predictor, but it will tell us what's been happening in the market, and clearly, as we can see, the market's gone all the way down, and that's representing that. So it may well go up, but again, you know, it's gold, it's Friday, there's a ton of news. It's going to be interesting. We can see with that imbalance, let me just go in a bit further so you can see it. Again, 15-minute time frame, but you can see how the price has wicked to around that imbalance area to take out the imbalance. So that's kind of rectified, that's balanced the books, you know, in terms of the markets. But you can see how these different zones, they're really fundamental to your trading and really fundamental to understanding price action and where price may go. I always say may go because you never know. And you see it's going down now. It may, after I've said that, 5 minutes later it might blast through that, and you might be thinking, well, what are you talking about, John? But yeah, price goes to a level and it'll do two things. As I always say, it's either going to bounce or break, and currently it's bouncing, and if it breaks, then we'll be on for an interesting session. Currently 13.06, so we've got another 4 minutes. No, we haven't. We've got a few more minutes yet for the 13.15 candle. Just checking to see with the 15-minute time frame being in the single window. I want to make sure that both indicators paint on both time frames, and they do. That's always good. Okay, if you want both windows together, which is always good when you trade in certain strategies, is go to the 15-minute time frame or go to whichever chart you've got, right click, and then you can click on apply these indicators to the entire layout, and then whatever you've got on this side will be represented on this side, and then just click this button here, this little link, and it says new drawings, so not your old ones but your new drawings will be replicated in this window, and that'll give you a duplication of both. So that's really good. Again, a lot of these things really simple, but again, if you've never done it before, then it's always going to be a discovery to find out, you know, just how simple things are. But if you don't know, you don't know. And as you can see on the 5-minute time frame, it went down, it wicked to the bottom of this imbalance, and now it's starting to bounce. So it bounced off that imbalance, it corrected the imbalance, and now it's going back up. So again, we're talking about those probability stacks. So we know that we've got this zone here of imbalance which has been corrected, and we know it's going to bounce or break. We don't know what, but the extreme is saying, well, it's in the extreme, so the possibility it should go back up. On the 5-minute time frame, it was going up, so now going sort of hovering in this area again. So again, these small little probability stacks, it just puts things in our favor, and when we do things like apply the imbalance zone on there, we identify imbalance, and when it hits the level almost to the pip, as we see there, then it gives us confidence in what we're doing is right. Okay, so if you ever put a line on there and the line doesn't really make any significance, it doesn't make any sense, it doesn't really hit any lines, then maybe consider where you're putting your lines. Things like trend lines. You know, you put a trend line on the chart and suddenly everything starts to make sense. But if it doesn't, then really look at where you're putting the lines, where you're putting the indicators. Right, 13:10. We've got 5 minutes before the 15-minute time frame is painted, and then we can start the session. So let's get MT4 open. Right, that's MT4 open already. And again, if we're going to be looking at our potential stop loss, it's always a contention with lots of people who like to get a high risk to reward. Will always contest, well, yeah, your risk to reward ratio isn't particularly good, and then I would say, okay, but we haven't lost a trade yet. Okay, so, and again, account protection, always risk no more than 1% on your account. No more than 1%, and that way, if you win, fantastic. You can vacuum up more pips using different things like the exit manager, like I spoke about. But if you lose, you're losing small. It's no sweat. It's no sweat, and that's what you want to be doing. You don't want to be gambling with your hard-earned money. It just ain't worth it. You know. One of the things we do in Forex is, or with trading generally, I always say Forex, but Forex for me is foreign exchange with fiat currencies, but you know, bearing in mind we do crypto, we do indices, and also metals like gold that we're doing today. And you know, we either win big, we win small, or we lose small, and those are the options. When we start losing big, then you're doing something wrong. And again, always look at 1%. Right, 13:12. 3 minutes to go, and we'll start putting these trend lines on and see where today's markets are going to take us. Just one thing to note: if you look at the 5-minute time frame, if you look at the stochastic at the bottom, I'll leave my cursor out the way because it just buggers things up. But you can see how the two time frames are starting to snake together, start twisting together, and sometimes, you know, you look at the stochastic and you go, it's in the extreme, it's going to go back up for the buy, and sometimes it snakes on the bottom for hours, literally. So again, it's always a good idea to take these probabilities, but don't take them as read. Don't take them as, okay, this is definitely going to happen. You should never define anything within trading. It's always a possibility and a potential. So today what I'm going to do is, when I put the trend lines on the 15 minute, I'm going to go into the full screen, and then I'm going to go back to side by side, because there's a couple of days where, as you noticed, I've not seen it. My eyes aren't that bad, by the way. I just add that, but I've put it on the wrong candle and then corrected it, or I've put it on the right candle and then changed it for reasons that it's just because I've had the chart too small. So we're going to go into full screen. So I'll go into full screen now. That's full screen on the 15 minute. If you can't see that, John, then there's no much help for you. So you can see, look, all it's like news. When you get a high news, it's always mindful to look at it. But when you get lots of news with low impact, that's always interesting as well. So a lot of news can affect the markets. You know, so you can see here we've got the news with the red ring around it. Okay, and then one with the yellow ring. Okay, so it's lower priority or lower impact, and then high impact. Okay, 13:15, that's painted, so let's get these on. So I'm going to put the magnet tool on. So the higher candle from this candle is this one. And we're going to put is there a wick on there? No, there isn't. In fact, let's just make sure. There's no wick on there. So that is going to go through the middle of the candle. So I'll take the magnet tool off, because it's just snapping to anywhere. Right, that'll do. And then the lower from here But it looks like there isn't one. There isn't one certainly for this time frame. Okay, so all we do is we put the magnet tool back on, we go to the bottom of this candle, and then we're just going to put this line horizontal. Okay, horizontal. Okay, so remember, this area here is kind of the danger zone. We don't want to be anywhere there because the price wants to come down. It'll probably end up bouncing off this, and as we see already, it's already bounced off here. Okay, we want clear air in here or clear air below this area. All right, but I think what's going to happen, let's go and put it back onto the, what's possibly going to happen is well, we don't know. I'm not Mystic Meg. We don't know what's going to happen, but we're thinking, I'm thinking it's going to push up. It's going to push up for the buy. So now we're looking at the this is the 5 minute time frame. We've got our box on 1300 to 1500. We've got the trend lines on the 5 minute time frame, and we're just sitting and waiting to see what price is going to do. And it's really odd. I mean, look at these lines. It gives you so much confidence. You know, you got the trend line going down. The price has respected the trend line. It's still respecting the trend line, and it's also respecting the imbalance zone as well, like we put on earlier. That gives me so much confidence in what we're doing. Yeah. And if you're watching this, it should be giving you confidence as well. But don't go try making a lot of money. If you're watching this video right now and you're thinking, okay, I'm going to follow along, he's won all his trades for the last 57 days, I'm going to go in. No. Demo account, please. Just go straight in on a demo account and leave it for demo account. Just because I've tested this for 50 odd days, or we as a community have tested this 50 odd days, it doesn't mean you should go in and do it for yourself. You should always trade for yourself and test things yourself, because there may be something that you forget to do, there may be something that you miss out. I don't know. You could follow me along exactly and take the same trades and win the same trades, but then suddenly you do it by yourself, you end up losing trades, or that psychology takes over, you know, where you start worrying about you losing all your money and you start doing different things. That's what this is all about. I know I've spoken about this before, and we're in the middle of a trade, but this, and you see that, yeah, teaching the monkey to trade, and it's all about understanding your own psychology, taming the monkey. The monkey is the voice in your head. That voice in your head that says, "What are you doing this for? Why are you doing that? You can't trade. You've just lost a trade. Told you you shouldn't have gone in that trade. You've lost it. Told you, you're rubbish." You know, you stay in trades too long and you call yourself an idiot because, you know, you were 10 pips up and then suddenly it went to 12, 13, then it went back to nothing. You know, and then you're in drawdown. What's going on? It's all about trading. Is all, well, they say 90% psychology, and any trader would totally agree with that. Why do these trend lines make me happy? Why does putting this imbalance zone on there make me happy? Because it's respecting those lines, so my psychology is elevated. But when you're first learning, demo account and get there. I mean, you can download this book and all these materials for nothing. So you can download that. You can get access to a course that one of our guys put together. There we go. Look, we've got. It's just broken that trend line, and it's just gone straight back. So the other thing we're waiting for is this ninja alert. Remember I said about this ninja alert? So if I go to the Ninjacator, and again, Ninjacator is available within the community. It's bespoke software that has been written by a member of our community who's got coding skills. So we're going to right click on that. We're going to say add alert on Ninjacator. We're going to go combined up and down. once per bar. I'm going to go create, and once per bar means that potentially it's going to repaint. It will repaint, so conditions will change, and what we're waiting for is the price to go above, hit this PSAR, which is the parabolic stop and reverse point. That will then flip underneath, and then conditions will be met to get that alert. And again, that gives us more probabilities that the trade is going to go in our direction. Last few days we've noticed that I'm looking at this news, this high impact news. It hasn't really affected things. It hasn't really affected things in the way that news often does, which has been interesting. However, we've got this. Okay. And as you can see, that stochastic at the bottom still snaking along. Okay, so if you look at the last 4 or 5 candles compared to the previous ones, are we now entering a little bit of consolidation? We'll just see how price goes. So let's just draw a little box around here. I know this is going against it isn't going against the strategy, but if we drew a box here, we could call this consolidation by the banks. Well, it's a consolidation period where nothing really happens. It either goes up or down. You can see this candle is starting to go below, which is interesting. So if you think of consolidation as an accumulation of liquid assets by the banks, and what it is, people put their stop loss above or below that level of consolidation, and the banks will come along and take out people's stop losses as they see fit, to then take the liquidity out of the markets for themselves, and then put their orders on in either direction. At the moment, this candle seems to be respecting that line. It's sort of touching our trend line now, and now it's going slightly more to the downside. So, are we going to see? Let me just take this off a little bit. Are we going to see a push to the downside? We're now at that falling wedge. Price has got to do one thing or another in the next 5 minutes. It's 13.25, and we're going to see a push to the up or the downside. We'll see. As you can see, the stochastic still snaking along, just snaking between no man's land really. But one thing to note is that all the time frames have all come down. Okay, so every to the 4 hour, the 1 hour, the 15 minute, the 5 minute, the yellow. What's the yellow? Yellow is the 4 hour, and as you can see, that's just slightly above, just above the 25 line on the 5 minute. So price really at this point, you would have thought would go up for the buy based on stochastic, based on what's been happening. So we'll see. Let me just bring that 15 minute into view so you can see that. You can see the 15 minute, the lower the time frame, the more erratic the candles will be. If you put this on like the 1 minute time frame, it'll just be like literally all over the place and you'll just go insane watching it. But something like the 15 minute on this strategy kind of moves a little bit slowly, and you can see that it's still respecting the lines. It's currently it's gone past this imbalance, but now, as we said, we're now on the red line, the red trend line, which is offering a resistance zone to this particular price. So we've got resistance here. See, we've got resistance here, and the green line is also offering resistance on the sell and resistance on the So So what have we got left on this time frame? On the 5 minute, we've got 2 minutes 25 left, and we'll just see where we're going. So if we're going to go for the buy, then obviously we need a ninja up, and we've got to wait for that P-SAR to flip, and want a nice move past the green trend line. So we've got 1 minute and 30 between both time frames. So once they are finished, then you're going to get a candle repainted on both time frames. So are we going to see a move to the upside? Are we going to see more consolidation? I think potentially we're going to see a move to the upside. So again, if this does move to the upside and it hits that P-SAR, and the P-SAR will flip, then around the area where the P-SAR flips is where we're going to put our stop loss for the buy. And likewise, if you look at these highs here, if you can call these highs, if it did go further down for the sell, then we'll consider putting the P-SAR, sorry, the stop loss around this level here. Right, so we've got 24 seconds left on the time frames. Let's see what happens. Yep. No. Yes, no. It's ridiculous. It really is. High impact news. Look what's happened. So we've got the P-SAR flip. Okay. As you can see, price spiked all the way up. Now price has gone down. The way it's reacting at the moment, we've got the P-SAR flip. It's too erratic to do anything with. This is one of the things about high impact news. You can say, okay, your conditions have been met. Well, actually the conditions haven't really been met because the P-SAR's in the wrong place for us. But we're below the trend line. We've got a ninja down here. You can see that on the 5 minute. But the way price went up and down, you'd get in, you go into drawdown, you'd be in, out, shaking it all about, wondering why you got in, wondering why the strategy didn't work. And again, it's just sort that. Being patient. This is really odd. So even though it's gone down for all these pips, there's something about this trade that I don't like. And it's the fact that when you see this going down, you see this P-SAR, the P-SAR should be at the top. And the P-SAR's moving. And you're looking at that thinking, well, if you'd have got in the trade, John, you'd have made your pips for probably a flaming week. Looking at this, 50 odd pips. We want 10 pips for our 10 pips a day. That's yeah, it's a week's worth of pips. But I don't like it. I don't like the way it's moving. I don't like the fact that the P-SAR is moving with it. It's pure manipulation. It's moving too quick for my liking, and it's just one of those scenarios that, and this is one of the things that you want to do, is when you're in a trade, you want to kind of take a step back and go, is this really a trade that I want to be in? You know, because it's great to be in a trade winning, but you'd rather be doing that than being in a trade wishing you're out of it. Just looking at it going, no, please go up, please go back up. Please take me out of drawdown. Just want to buy food for the dog this week. So if you're not 100%, just stay out of it. I mean, I mentioned about this imbalance before. Is it going to go down for this imbalance? We've got second lot of news here. Oh, sorry, this is it, same news. Second lot of news is here, okay, but you know, is it going to hit that? I'd be very surprised if it did. For me, the balance of probability is saying wait for the buy, because this stochastic is still snaking along, and yet you can see how the tail end of the 5 minute is just starting to tail up a little bit. Just starting to tail up. So again, the PSAR is still below. This PSAR is still here. Now, under normal conditions, the PSAR would have flipped to go in for a sell, but because the price is moving so quickly, the PSAR hasn't flipped, and it's just a little bit strange looking. Now, the way it's going now, for me, it gives me more confidence to see that, and to know that that news has now been done. We are coming up to more news, but if the price goes above, not the green line, but into this area here where you've got clear air. I'm not interested in this. Okay, this is kind of a danger zone, this area here, because you've got support and resistance in both planes. So once it gets to here and it goes up, I might consider going in for the buy. And again, there's a bit more volume, bit more distance between the PSAR and the candle now, which is a bit more reassuring. But as you can see, the green trend line is now offering resistance, so it's respecting this line here. It's respecting the green trend line, which again gives us confidence of where the trend lines are. They're in the right place. $13.36. It's I told you it'd be interesting. I told you it'd be an interesting session. Market's doing weird and wonderful things. Friday afternoon, high impact news kind of makes things a little bit unpredictable. Here we go, look. Here we go. Alright. Right, eventually I'm in for the buy. And so 2 minutes left on the 5 minute time frame. We're currently in for the buy. We'll see how things pan out. Conditions really for us were met, but again, not 100% convinced because of the news, because it's Friday afternoon. Let's see. Alright, we've got a little of 30 seconds left on this time frame. We're currently up slightly. Yeah, we're up a lot. Right, there we go. So if you're in this trade right now, you're probably up about 30 pips. And if you've using the exit manager, then you've probably taken half your pips out and you're hoovering up all these pips. Many pips to be had. Okay, many pips to be had on this. It's still going up. And how far will it go up? Oh, who knows where it's going to go? I'm just kind of interested to see. This level here is a level of imbalance I put on from some time ago, and we could go back and have a look at different zones and see. But you see what my thought process here for the, and you can see, look, the stochastic has shot up. The nice big separation between the buy and the sell, and it just didn't feel right. This didn't feel right at all, purely because it was moving too quickly. The PSARs hadn't flipped. It was telling me it wanted to go for a buy, but there was manipulation going on, and here it's still going up for the buy. Massive move. I mean, look at the 15-minute, absolutely huge move up. And again, this is sometimes what happens behind things like high impact news. And today we've used it to our benefit, but we've been very careful. This is the thing, being very careful, be very cautious on the way it happened. You can imagine if we'd have got in. I'll probably replay this a little bit later, but that shot up to here on that candle open and then shot down. So again, unless you've got orders ready to go, then the move is too quick to do it without having an order ready to go. And we're still doing well on this side. So again, if you're still on the exit manager, where did we get in? Here, I think. Potentially, can't see it. Potentially, sorry. Yeah, about 110 pips. 110 pips on that move. 110 pips literally in about 7 minutes. So it's 13:42. We'll stay on a bit longer just to see how things pan out. Okay, minute left, and you probably see the candle maybe close around this level here at these highs, and it'll probably start respecting this line here as it has in the past. So that line is I don't know what that line is. We'll come back to that in a second anyway. "23 seconds left. It's doing its thing. It's doing its thing, ladies and gentlemen. Gold, the banks, all alone to themselves. So, as far as the strategy goes, where would I have got in? Where's my ninja up? Down here. There isn't one. Okay, the ninja up came here, and sometimes because the markets move so quick, you end up sometimes with gaps in the market, and getting in around here is purely just from doing the back testing, bit of experience, and really understanding which way the market may go. And you know, as I said, the odds for us were stacked in our favour with the buy from here. But had you got in here, which is making things really safe, you would have still, by the looks of it, made, what are you, yeah, look, 35 pips. So you would have still made your profits, even being uber conservative and really careful to follow things. You know, if you just learn this strategy, you might be looking at that, and you might be looking and thinking, oh no, it's going up. I'm missing out on all these pips. What's your target? Target's 10 pips. Okay, well you've got 30 odd there. From here we can see it now. 37 pips. Okay, and it's still going north. At this stage, for most people trading this strategy, that'd be it today. We'll just walk away. It's Friday afternoon. We've had a cracking Friday afternoon. Thanks very much. The weekend's come in and we've got some money in our pocket. That'll do. Okay, and to be fair, we've had money in our pocket for the last 57 days. Where is the price going to go now? Is it going to go down for the sell? Unlikely. Okay, it's probably going to hover around this line for quite some time and maybe make a move at this next lot of high impact news. It's at 3 o'clock, but again at 3 o'clock we've finished. 3 o'clock the markets are probably, in the UK, a lot of people have gone home, the markets have steadied off, and we're trading the US Open, so this is the US morning. But yeah, if you've done this for the day, that's it. Close your laptop, close TradingView, close your MT4, turn your computer off, and go off and enjoy your weekend. Again, just some things to note. If you look at the stochastic, it started to tail off. You see how it started to do that? So it's gone into the extreme, all the way to the extreme, and then starting to come down. That represents this price action here. The other thing to note as well is if you look at the PSAR, the parabolic stop and reverse, look at the distance between the dot and the candle. Okay, the dot here when it went all the way up. Okay, that's just a huge move to the upside. Strong moves. So as we can see here, we've got consolidation. Consolidation is when banks can see all the stop losses. So banks have already got the upper hand for every retail trader or every trader when they can see everyone's stop losses. So they can put a quantity of money into the markets, manipulate those prices, and take people out the market as they want. Okay, so if you've got people that are going in for a buy, their stop loss is going to be down here. So let's change this guy for green because these are buyers. Buyer stop loss, and if you're going to go in for the sell, then your stop loss is going to be above. Okay, so these are the sellers. All right. So we're going along, and we're thinking that the sellers are thinking, what's going to happen? Are we going to go up or down? So the banks go, well, actually, mate, we're going to force the price up, and we're going to take you out because we've now taken out your stop loss. So thanks very much. You're gone. And then they look at the people under here, and they go, okay, the buyers, okay, yeah, we're just going to take you out now, just about here. Thanks, mate. And now the banks can fulfill their orders by pushing the price all the way down or in the direction that they want to. Okay, so they've pushed the price all the way down. The price then gets forced back up. So the banks can liquidate and profit from moves like this, okay, by taking out people like the retail traders, people like us. So, and this is why it happens around high impact news, because they can hide behind manipulation, and it happens all the time. And the thing is, if you don't understand the markets, just having a quick look now at the 5 minute, it's coming back down quite significantly, but we'll keep an eye on that. You know, retail traders need to understand, or when you're trading the markets, need to understand where the zones are and what is consolidation and what is happening with consolidation. This is when the banks are taking people out, liquidating the stop losses, so they then are able to have the assets to go and do things like this and manipulate the markets to their advantage. And if we understand what's happening, remember we were thinking about getting in here, but the move was too erratic. It was like, no, the market wants to go back up. The price has to go back up to address all this imbalance. All this is imbalance, whole lot imbalance. It's got to go back up, and that's what it did. Okay. So as we can see here, price is starting to come down. And again, we've got this high impact news, so you don't know, it may even come back down to here. Okay, exceptional circumstances. It's an exceptional day in terms of Friday. It's high impact news, and we're trading gold. Again, the PSAR is way down here, so we're not going to get any ninja moves, any ninja indicators until the price goes back down here. So for me, for this strategy, I might look at this price and go, well, that's nice, but I'm not getting in. I've secured my profits for the day, and it probably, what did I get? About 17 or 18 pips, I think. And again, the move was that quick. You look at it and you go, 10 pips, yeah, great, I'll click off. And by the time it's registered with your broker and it's gone through your MT4, you've made more pips anyway. So right, we are 13.59, and I think what I'll do is come back at the end of the session to see what's happened during this high impact news, and just give you a summary, a bit of a synopsis of what happened on a Friday, and after that we'll go and enjoy the weekend. We'll come back in a bit. Alright, we're back. So the drama is continuing with gold. As you can see on the 5-minute time frame, the price went up. We took a good amount of profits from there, and now the price started to come back down again. And we're now currently on the trend line for the sell. We've got the ninja down alert, so that means the PSAR has flipped, and we're now potentially going to go in for the sell. So, you know, quite an eventful day. We've got high impact news coming up at 3 o'clock. And again, markets are really turbulent at the moment. On a day like today, to be quite honest with you, I'm quite happy to take my pips, walk away, and enjoy the weekend. But again, for training and illustration purposes, to teach you the strategy, it's always interesting to stay on for those 2 hours and to see what the markets actually do and how the markets play out. The stochastic right now is kind of in the middle. It's kind of nowhere with that, but it has been into the extreme up here, as you can see, and it's come down, and that line that comes down represents that. So in terms of the stochastic, we've got the extreme. We've had the extreme up here, and then it came down to the downside, which represents this price action here, and we're now sort of in the middle, kind of hovering in the middle. So, you know, it could go either way, but for the terms of this strategy, we've got the ninja down, we've got the price approaching the sell trend line, and if it pushes through that and continues to go down, then we may be in a position for another sell opportunity. Again, things to be mindful of, we've got the high impact news at 3 o'clock, which could just throw price action in any direction. We'll see what happens. But again, as here, remember this when we first started the trade, before we when we first started the trade, we were talking about the price respecting this particular trend line that we put on, and now it's doing the same thing. So again, it's like I said to you before, it just gives you that confidence that the lines that you're putting on, the strategy that you're using does work in the real world. Yeah, I was going to answer that question. You could have taken some more pips here if you'd have stayed in. Okay, now you wouldn't have got in here because the indicators were such where they didn't tell us to. The conditions, rather, not the indicators. The conditions were such where we'd taken some good money, we'd taken some good profits, and we weren't in a position to safely get in this particular trade. So when you've got a strategy that works and you're looking at pips that you could have taken, it's like, look at what you could have won, but you didn't. And you didn't because you're not gambling. You didn't take those pips because it didn't form part of your strategy. Okay, maybe some people would have got in here. Okay, the gamblers of today would have gone, yeah, I've taken 200 pips I got in this move, then I got in this move, and I got 200 pips, and look what a great trader I am. Okay, and the next day, that I've lost 300 pips because they're gambling, and that just tells me that if you're a gambler, you don't really understand the strategy and what it takes to become a consistent and profitable trader, not just a profitable trader, a consistent trader that protects their account first and foremost. All right. So again, still touching this particular line here, the trend line. We've got 46 seconds left on the 5-minute time frame and on the 15-minute time frame. So we'll see what happens. So again, still respecting that line. And yeah, you could say to the pip on that trend line. Let me just zoom in and see how accurate it actually was. I don't think you can get much more accurate than that. Okay. And yeah, remember we said about looking at this, and it was going down, it was shooting down. And our psychology would have said, well, let's get in. Maybe we can get in there and take some more profits. And then as quickly as it went down, it went straight back up, and even up further. So we'd have lost this trade because we'd have set stop losses. We wouldn't have had a stop loss. I mean, this stop loss, this went for like 50, 60 pips. Where would your stop loss have been? You wouldn't have got in because it doesn't form the strategy. Okay. So now the candle is just starting to go below a trend line. Let's zoom in a little bit more. We've got the ninja down, we've got the PSAR above. The stochastic for me isn't really doing much. It's kind of middle of nowhere. The temptation will be to wait, to be patient, to be conservative in our targets, and just see how price action is going to play out with this particular candle. It's looking a bit more positive because there's a bit more body below. So I'll just get the MT4 set up just to see. We know the lower low came down to here. So from where we are now, the bottom of this candle, to there, 63 pips. So again, if you want to take 10 pips, then 10 goes quite well into 63. I'm just not going to jump in quite yet, because remember we've got this news going here. So there could well be a little bit of sideways movement until this happens, by which time we're done anyway at 3 o'clock, and particularly with it being Friday afternoon. So again, the bank's looking at what's happening. There could be on an accumulation phase, just maybe go sideways before doing something here, and we'll see. Again, this candle now, so was wicked here, there's wick down there, so the shape of one of those old-fashioned spinning tops that kids used to play with means it's an indecision candle. Some people call it a doji candle, so it's indecision. So the market doesn't really know what it wants to do, or the market is being manipulated to that effect anyway. Sometimes what you find as well is that when a new candle forms, sorry, just before the end of a time frame. So right now we're in sort of the last 20 seconds. You sometimes find that in the last sort of 5-10 seconds the price will shoot one way or another. So here we go, last 10 seconds. Let's see what this candle does. So there you go, it kind of went straight back up above the line just before the candle closed. So if I was going to get in, I would have liked to have got in had this candle, had there been a little bit of a separation between this line and the top of the candle. So as you can see from, well, this one clearly, there's a massive gap in between the green and here. So I would have liked to have seen a gap and then a move to the downside. As you can see, if I'd have got into this trade, it would have been a drawdown and probably lost the trade by now. Yeah, I've got a feeling this price is maybe going to snake eastwards until the news at 3 o'clock. Currently on 16:16 UK time, and as you can see, the price has gone ballistic. This is what we were dealing with before. So we were looking at these on the 5-minute time frame, and we were saying, yeah, this is a big push. Okay, we've done really well, but look at what's happened since. And as I said, Friday, lots of news, lots of potential for the bankers and the financial institutions to manipulate the markets, and look what they've done. Gone from this area here. Now the news that we spoke about before was at the 1500 time, 1500, and we've still got news. It's low. We've got low impact and also high impact news coming up at 1900, but that's not really going to affect us at all, because you should have your trades closed out well before then. On a Friday afternoon, 1900 GMT, everything's closed. If you look at this, I've got the ruler to see what we're looking at from our target from there. So from there up to there, 270 pips. 270 pips from there. Okay. So I said before at the start of this session, the markets are going to be interesting today. It's a Friday, there's lots of news, and they've just proved themselves to be really interesting. And I hope you've learned a lot from that. Number one, from when to take a trade and when to not take a trade. And the only way that you'll get good at trading is not just by attending the live sessions, not just by having the right indicators, but by doing all your back testing and actually going in and doing sessions like this for yourself. You understand what's going on, but then doing the back testing and going over things, repetition, and once you get a few trades under your belt, you start to get a pattern of what's going on. Now you don't get that pattern if you're going into different currency pairs. If suddenly one day I did gold, the next day I did palladium, the next day I did GBP JPY, the next day I did crypto, the next day I did something else, there's never going to be any confluence in my own mind of what's really happening. And as we saw today, that we're talking about the imbalance from this zone here. When did that imbalance occur? It was between 1300 and 1500, I think on the 1st of June. And again, patterns emerging. And some people will say, okay, well, human beings will see patterns by design. They'll see patterns in anything if you want it to. But when you do your back testing, you realize these patterns are there for a reason and they happen over and over again. Okay, so do your back testing, and the only way to trade, the only way to learn to trade and to be consistent is by doing your back testing, having the support of the community, and just doing the work. And you can see what's happened here, and it's exciting. It's exciting to be able to look at a chart like this and talk you through it, and talk you through what may happen. And this may go for a buy, or it went for a buy, and when it gets to 1500 it might go crazy in some sort of direction, and look at what it did. All right, we're not always right, we don't always get it right, and anybody that says they've got a 100% win rate, they're probably lying. Nobody's got a 100% win rate. Nobody can. It's an impossibility. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this session. I hope you got a lot from it, and I hope to see you on future sessions. I'll be doing it pretty much all the time, bringing you the strategy, doing the sessions, and hopefully in the future, maybe in a few weeks, maybe in a few days, who knows what's going to happen. You can join me live for a live session, and I'll have the privilege of teaching it on a live session. So have a great weekend, and we'll talk soon. Bye for now.